Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing a mid-year reading wrap-up, although I know that we're about to be in the 8th year of the month, so we're definitely not mid-year, but I'm just going to go through the books that I read through June, which sucks because all of my 5-star reads have been read in, or like the best books I've read so far this year have been read in July. If you watched my 24-hour readathon, I read quite a few books that I really loved. So those are kind of a part of my July wrap up. These are some of the books that I've read, and I'm gonna go through them and just give you my reviews. A lot of the books I read are also on my Kindle. So these are just the books that I've read this year that are physical, and then I'll also pull my Kindle up. And yeah, but let's get started. I'm gonna throw these. Oh. Okay, I have my handy dandy iPad. Hold on. I use Storygraph. That's the app that I use. I know a lot of people use Goodreads, but I just haven't gotten it. I have all of my books here that I have graphed and logged for the year. So I'm gonna begin with, I need to get a cute case. My sister just got one that's adorable. I have this clear one so I can put stickers on it, but I never put stickers. First book I read was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I am really bad at doing like stars and actually rating a book. So I don't remember what I rated this, but I finished this book on January 5th. So this is the first book I read of the year. And I remember that it was a really quick read, and yeah, it was really sweet. I like closed door romance. I don't like super like smutty stuff. So I really enjoyed this. It was just sweet. I like the banter and the argument. It's about 300 pages. Catherine Center's books are really good. I think I read another one of her books before. So The Bodyguard, I rate a 3.5 stars out of 5. It was really good. Definitely recommend. They're just some better. And then the next book I read, I finished reading on January 16th. And this was One by One by Frida McFadden. I have read, I would say most of her books, but she just has so many, but I've read at least a dozen of her books. But all of her books are on Kindle Unlimited, and they're just like the best pickup I cannot speak right now, psychological thrillers. I love them. I just finished one yesterday and I like started it. They're just, you can read it in one sitting, like so good. One by One, essentially it's about two couples who get together to go on a vacation, little cabin vacation. One of the marriages is already rocky, and then they start getting picked off one by one, and all of her books have like a million twists by the end. I love the 50-page to finish mark because there's gonna be a twist, and then from there on it like keeps rolling, and literally you have no idea what's gonna happen. So they're just super easy and I love them. So yeah, One by One, I would give probably 3.5 to 4 stars, but really love that one. The next few books are probably from one of the classes that I took last semester, which was a literature and culture class. And this first one that we read, I've actually read before, but it was Julius Caesar by Shakespeare. I really don't have much to say on this one. I would lie and say that I appreciate Shakespeare. I appreciate how much that he has done like for literature, but I'm just not one of those people that like understands it fully or grasps the concepts that he's bringing in. But I did really love my literature and culture class, and my professor was just amazing. And even in a book like Julius Caesar, where it's Shakespeare and I'm not like fully grasping it, he does bring out a lot of the life lessons and like what we should be taking from this. And yeah, I always saw Brutus as a stab in the back guy, and it was kind of interesting because we talked a lot about like his perspective and like where it did make me see the book differently. So my professor made me appreciate it a lot, but it's Shakespeare, 3 stars, 2 stars. It's really not bad. It's just not my thing. The next book I read, Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I'm not actually crying right now. My face just teared up for some reason. I actually don't know why. This didn't make me that emotional. But Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher was the first book of the Lakefront Billionaire series. If you have not read the Dreamland Billionaire series, please go read that. It is incredible. Lauren Asher is just an incredible writer, and I just love her to death. I would recommend reading the Dreamland Billionaire series first because the characters tie in to the series, but also you really don't have to. It's just kind of like as you're reading this series, there's like characters that pop up and it's fun to know them, and you kind of know the area and stuff like that. But Love Redesigned was so good. It was the first book of this series, and the second one just came out and I read in my 24-hour readathon. This one was an easy 4.5 out of 5 stars. There's not much to say. I mean, there's so much to say. I love this book, and I love all of her books. Dahlia and Julian, and they've known each other their whole lives. They've always had kind of a rivalry, and there's just so much. She brings a lot of depth to not only like the main characters, but also just like the families that like reach out, and like it's not just a romance. Like there is a lot of family stuff, which I just absolutely love. And this one was really cool because she owns like, she's like a home designer and renovator, and so she like has her own TV show, and then it's kind of like there's just so many cool things to the character, and I love their banter and their arguments, and their hatred towards each other. It is enemies to lovers, but also like childhood friends to lovers. Highly recommend. Loved it. And then the next book I read was the final book of Jennifer Lynn Barnes' The Natural series, which I have all of them right here, and this was the last one, the longest one. It was 500 something pages. She's a genius writer. She also wrote the Inheritance Games, which I have right here, and her like style is super easy to understand, super easy to follow, but it's also just very intentional and like really fun to read. I feel like the easiest comparison to me is escape rooms. Knives Out reminds me more of the Inheritance Games, but this also reminds me of Criminal Minds. This whole series is about the Naturals, which is a group of teenagers who are basically taken on as like private workers for the FBI, but it's just this program with teenagers who have like these insane abilities. They're not like supernatural abilities, they're just like really good at reading people, and like they're beyond our normal capabilities. So it's just really cool, and there's so many characters, and like so many, you like love the teenagers and their relationships are already intermingled and like crazy, but then like there's family drama and parents or deaths, and it's just so cool. And like the serial killers from the first book like still spanned throughout all 4 books, and then they like finally ties together in like such a just perfect way, and it's very satisfying to read. Yeah, so I really love that. The series I'd probably give a 4.5 out of 5 star, and the last book I'd probably say a 3.75 to 4 star. I don't remember too much detail about it, which is why I'm not gonna rate it anything near like a 5 star, but it definitely is a great series, and I highly recommend. This next book. Okay, this was a shocker to me. This was a big shocker to me because this is another book from my literature and culture class. I just didn't have high expectations of like what I was gonna love or learn from this class, but this book was so good. I absolutely would never pick it up outside of this, but I would definitely do a reread. It's Samuel Johnson, The History of Restless, Prince of Abyssinia. It was created in the 1700s, and it's about the question of life, where we're supposed to be, what happiness truly is, like our paths, if we are in this place that we were born, if we're supposed to like diverge from that, or like what. And it's just so cool because it just makes you think a lot. It made me think a lot about society and like our places, and I really love the ending because although it almost seems like it's a very positive, like, oh, we're going on this journey, like he ends up back, not to spoil, but this isn't one that people often read, but spoiler, he essentially, him and his sister, this prince, end up back in their home because they go on this journey trying to find something else, and they realize that they've been wondering, and they go back, and it's so good. But I like have so many pages in this book highlighted and quotes like, it is possible to obtain at the same time for gratifications of society and the secrecy of solitude. What else? Whatever be the consequence of my experiment, I am resolved to judge with my own eyes of the various conditions of men, and then to make deliberately my choice of life. Yeah, so choice of life was really our entire semester's like question. Like, what is the choice of life? What does that mean? Oh, this one is good. Man is not weak, answered by his companion. Knowledge is more than equivalent to force. This whole book, like, genuinely, integrity without knowledge is weak and useless, and knowledge without integrity is dangerous and dreadful. I'm obsessed with this book. I'm honestly gonna give that, in the literary context of not like my fun fiction books, I would give that like a 5-star for my like own personal, not only like enjoyment, but like actually I felt something, and like I feel like it was something I could have applied, like I applied to my life and stuff. The next thing I read was 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I love Holly Jackson. All of her books are great. She wrote Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is a great series. But she's just another author that's writes thriller books, but they're YA and just super easy to follow, but also, again, enough in depth that it just is. I enjoy her books a lot because each chapter, or like, she doesn't just have one perspective. All the characters, the main characters, like have their own chapters. There's 5 characters, and basically they are going on a road trip for spring break, and their RV breaks down, and there's a sniper shooting at them, and they're like, what's happening? And they apparently have a secret that somebody has to spill so they can live and be safe. And guess what? I don't remember the secret because I read this at the beginning of the year. But I do remember that I read it in like one night, and it was really, 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 really good. So I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I need to start writing down my ratings because I forget books really fast, but I remember the feeling. I remember. I would recommend any Holly Jackson book. This one was very good. Love, love, love. So in January, I read a total of 6 books. Next, February 11th, I finished reading The Roommate Experiment. Was so good. I do remember this one. Like, I remember the opening scene and like this whole thing. This is like, when I imagined this book as a movie, they would cast Lucy Hale. Like, I know for a fact they would cast Lucy Hale because she always plays these characters. But this was so good. It was, I'm gonna say 4.5 out of 5 star because I can remember all of the details to this. But basically, Rosie and Lucas. Okay, so Rosie is living in New York, but she's staying in her sister's apartment, or is it her cousin's? No, that would be incest. She's staying in her best friend's apartment without asking, but she has access to it because she low-key like can't stay in her house for the week. And this man comes knocking on the door, coming into the house, and she is like, what is he doing here? She doesn't know him, but she's been like had a crush on him for years. He's her best friend's cousin, and he shows up not thinking that anybody was gonna be there, and her best friend said that he could stay there for the week. So then they create this arrangement to live together and also go on fake dates because she is trying to, she's having a writer's block, and she's a writer trying to write like a new romance and just get inspiration on dating and stuff. So they end up going on like fake dates and like are navigating that, and then obviously stuff buds from that, and it's just so good. The next book I read was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I really love Lynn Painter. Better than the movies. I would say is my top book. Well, I've read 2 of her books, so I can't really say that, but I did like Better Than the Movies better than The Do-Over. But this one I would probably give a good 3.75 out of 5 stars. It was really sweet. I don't remember the characters much, but basically she relives the same day over and over again. It is Valentine's Day, and then she has a boyfriend, I think. Yeah, she has a boyfriend, but she keeps getting in a car accident and like running into this one guy at her school that she doesn't really know. And then it's basically them like, yeah, figuring it out as she's reliving the day over and over and over again. Yeah, that was good. I finished that on February 15th. The next book that I read was for my literature and culture class again, and it was Faust. It was Goethe, I think that's how you say it. Faust, part 1. This was a weird book. Weird. Witches, spirits, but it wasn't like, it's not like supernatural. It's just supposed to be it's an old German story. Radical adaptation of the old German story. Wandering conjurer who sells his soul to a devil called Mephistopheles for magical powers and secret knowledge. It's basically about obtaining knowledge and what that power can actually do for you. And it was really hard to follow. It gave me Shakespeare vibes, and just the fact that it was really hard to follow. I would say the first half I like kind of enjoyed. I wouldn't say enjoyed, but I was understanding it enough. And then just so much crap happened, and I was like, what? But then the last like 25 pages, I feel like I do remember enjoying. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 stars, maybe not even. It's completely different other than the literature books. It just doesn't comprehend fully here. But I did get a like 99 in the literature class, so I love reading and I love that type of stuff, but it just didn't click. The next book I read was The Crow Prince. This is Holly Black's first book to the Folk of the Air series. She's near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna give it a good 4 out of 5 stars. The series itself, 4.5 out of 5. Haley Pham, this is like her ride or die recommendation, and I didn't read it for a while, but I finally did, and I really loved it. I will say it's not like fully what I expected, but I don't think I let myself like rest in it, because I read the first book and then I started the second book immediately, read a few chapters and then stopped, and then like read the last 2 books like months later. So I don't think I let myself like fully get into it. But I love well, hold on. Spoiler alert. I love Carden. It's kind of obvious if you've read any book like this that that's the pattern of whatever. But Jude and Carden and just the whole court, and like I love ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is just the died down PG, I would let my child read this version of that. And I'm obsessed with this book. That's a lie. I'm obsessed with ACOTAR, but I don't like all of the steamy scenes. So the fact that this didn't have it, but it was the same like character building, and it wasn't as much world building too. Like it's super easy to comprehend. You don't have to know like Valeris is over here. Like you don't have to know all that stuff. This next one I read was for my literature and culture class. Notes from Underground, which was Fyodor Dostoevsky. See, I can never say the name. This one, do I remember if I liked it or not? I think I liked it. I think I liked it. Oh my gosh, I don't remember this book. I do remember this one chapter though, something about a bar fight. It was more about the questions of like life and yeah, I genuinely don't have much to say about this one. I vividly remember listening to the audiobook and walking around my dorm's courtyard, like pacing back and forth, just listening to like a bar fight scene in this book and loving it. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. I don't know, probably another 2 out of 5 stars, but these aren't bad books, they're just not. It felt. Please don't kill me for this next one. Please, 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 please. Don't kill me for this one. The next book I read was a Colleen Hoover book. That was before that I do love a few of her books. Please don't hate me. Don't cancel me. My 104 subscribers, half including my family members and friends, don't cancel me, but I love some of her books. Slammed is the series that I love. She wrote, I believe that Slammed was the first book that she wrote. And I think that she actually doesn't like the book. I think it was one of the first ones that I had read from her, and I read it a couple years ago, and I was just in a slump. I read this March 20th, so I hadn't read like a book besides for class in like a month, and I was just in a fat slump, and I knew that if I read a book I knew that was super fast paced and then I'd read before, that I would get out of the slump, hopefully. So I read Slammed, and I really love this book, and I love the characters, and like I would read it over and over again, to be honest. And then I did read Point of Retreat, which I have right here. I've owned Slam before, but I think I lost it to my mom or a friend or something, but Point of Retreat. Thankfully I have the old cover because I don't like the new ones with the butterflies, and I'm not going to buy any of her new books now, obviously. But yeah, so I read her other books as a series. 5 out of 5 for the fact that it is super fast paced, and for some reason I just really love the characters, and like it's just easy. There's not much depth. So next I read Frida McFadden. I always like her books. I always love her books. This one was still super fast paced and super like gripping and understandable, but I did not appreciate it. It was called The Teacher. Just take Pretty Little Liars but make it like 100 times worse with Ezra and Arya. It was, the teacher student thing was too much. Like obviously it was a thriller and there was like more to that, a lot more to that, but I just hated. I enjoyed the book and the pace of it, and like the thriller part like all made sense. Loved that. Hate the teacher student, even if it's supposed to be bad. Like I just don't like reading that. That makes me feel icky, and like peace out. So yeah, next, this is on Kindle Unlimited. It's a Christina Lauren book. It's 100 pages, and it's like a meet cute series that they have called The Improbable Meet Cute. This was the first book. It's called The Exception to the Rule, and it is the sweetest thing ever. On February 14th, like on Valentine's Day, this girl like accidentally emails a stranger, and they email back, and the entire book essentially is just them emailing back and forth once a year on February 14th on Valentine's Day, like just getting to know each other, but only on that year. They give each other updates, they have relationships throughout it, and like different things going on. And then yeah, it's again 100 pages. I sat in my bed, in like dorm bed, and just like read it one night, and it was just so sweet. I loved it. It was cute. Highly recommend that. This next book, I read Ready Player One last year, and that was the first like not fantasy, like sci-fi book that I've ever read, and I loved it so much, like so much. So I got another one because Haley Pham read this book in her like my husband picks what I read for the week video, and this was one of his favorite books, and I got it and I read it, and I love this book so much. This is a 5 out of 5 stars. I finished reading this book on April 18th. It was like right at the end of the semester. I remember sitting on my hammock. We were finally having like summery spring weather, and I was just reading this book and listening to music, and I just have the best memories with this book and the characters. Like I love it. So it is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I highly recommend it. It is, I'm gonna read what it's about because it's hard to like describe it, because it's about, he's 6 years old when this starts, which is really hard to imagine in my head, especially the like intellectual capabilities that like these children have, but it's just a different time. It's in the future and stuff. But Earth has been under attack for generations, and an alien race is poised for a final assault. There's like a battle school, and these kids, parents have kids for the specific reason of like having like the kid smart enough and like to go into battle school and like win this alien attack that's like bound to happen on the Earth again. So Ender, he's 6 years old when it starts, and he basically is like the chosen one with being like the new battle person, and he's just, it's so good. I think I might have cried reading it. 5 out of 5. Need to read. Even if you don't read sci-fi, like need to read. Next, oh my gosh. This next book is for my literature and culture class. This is one that I think that I'll definitely end up rereading one day. And it just like meant a lot to read too, because it was just one of those books that I feel like is important to read, at least within this genre. It's Homegoing by Ya Jesse. This book was so beautiful. It basically starts in the 1700s, I think. No, 1775. And it starts with Effia, and it basically starts in 1775, and each chapter it goes through this like family lineage, ending up in America, but going through like slavery and, you know, tribe slavery, and not just like, you know, the slavery that a lot of us think of, you know, going into America, but just the fact that it's like tribe to tribe, like kidnapping, and honestly just the terrible things that have happened. But it was good. I've never read anything like this, and it's stuff that I know that I always need to be educated on, and I'm not as educated as I should be. So it's so good. It was so beautiful. The characters, like, I definitely cried reading this book. They're sisters, and it just will like alternate you, like kind of who's related to who as the like time goes on. There's grandchildren, and it just kind of like keeps going. There's like a whole family tree in the beginning, and it's really beautiful. And the end of the book is just like, that is, I don't even want to rate like that type of thing in a, oh, it was enjoyable or not, but like it was super easy to read in the way that it was written, but also just super important, and like an easy 5 out of 5. But yeah, when it comes to just education and like, but also still being able to like kind of come in from like a fictional mind of reading the way it's written, not what happened, is obviously not fictional. It's just beautiful. Everyone should read it. Next book I read was The Lake by Natasha Preston. She was an old Wattpad writer who writes like thrillers. This was good. Hers are also similar to Frida McFadden's. I would, not as many twists, but just they're super enjoyable, super easy to read. They're pretty dark too, which I like, but like enough that it's still, there's these two girls who have known each other their whole lives, but like when they were students at the camp when they were really little, like I think 7 or 8, something bad happened, and they did something bad, and they kind of allude to it the whole time, and then you don't figure out what it is until a little bit later in the book. But they're coming back as camp counselors, but hoping that nobody knows what they did. And then they meet these other counselors, and they all start becoming friends, but then somebody in the woods starts threatening them and doing things to them, and they're taking care of children at this camp, so they're kind of navigating that and figuring out what happens. And yeah, that was good. I was also reading it as I was being a camp counselor this summer, so that was fun. The next book I read came out of nowhere, but in 5 years I got this at my church like garage sale. Reader's Guide book club favorites, Good Morning America book club, which is great. Anyways, it's by Rebecca Searle. This was so good. It was super short, 250 pages. I finished it at my sister's graduation, I remember. But it was just beautiful. Like, I'm gonna reread this book one day. But basically it was about this one girl, Danny, and it says she lives by the numbers. She's a very factual person. She has her life planned out for the next 5-10 years. She has a boyfriend, she knows when things are gonna happen, and then one day she wakes up in a different house with a different man who is not her husband, and they're together for approximately like 10 minutes, and then she goes back to bed, wakes up, and it's 5 years, like that was 5 years in the future, and then she goes back to bed, wakes up, and her life is back to normal. So then basically like she's like, was that a dream? What is happening? And she goes to therapy for it. It's like a whole thing. And then some of these characters, this man pops up in real life. She's like, what am I supposed to do? It's crazy when you find out how they're connected, and how they get connected is just insane. but this was like 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. The next book I read, I don't know why I can't find it. It's somewhere in my room because I have the physical copy, but it was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I'd give it a good 3.75 out of 5 stars. I don't have much to say about it. I really like the characters. Harriet and Wynne, I knew it was a W name. It was a second chance romance. I did like it a lot. It was super enjoyable. I don't know. I don't always love Emily Henry's books. Like, I did like it a lot, and I would recommend it. It was good. It just didn't like have a sting to it. It didn't like super keep me in, but when I was reading it, I was definitely super involved and like wanted to sit down and keep reading it. Next thing I read was The Wicked King, which is what I was talking about earlier, but it was the second book to the Folk of the Air series. This one would be 4.5 out of 5 stars. The second one was definitely my favorite one, especially the way it ended. Well, I didn't love the way it ended because it was a cliffhanger, but I love then being able to go into the third book. But this one was just great. It really just gave more depth to the characters, and like I just understood more, and I love this one. So yeah, there's not much more to say. Next book I read was The Almost Romantic by Lauren Blakely. I remember loving this. I just read the description real quick and it all came back to me. But it's a marriage of convenience book, and it was so good. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot about this. I don't feel qualified to talk about it right now, even though I remember loving it like a lot, because I can't remember any details. But it's a marriage of convenience and it's really good. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Playing to Win by Monica Murphy. These books are on Kindle Unlimited, and they're football, sports, romance books, and I absolutely love them. The series is The Players, and this was the third book. This one was about Ace. Ace is, I love his character, but it's football romance. I'm also just not gonna say much. Given that this is the third book, there's some developed relationships, and this book is the female love interest is the sister of 2 of the football players from books before. So she's kind of off the tables, and she comes in to the school working as a social media manager for the football team, so she's not allowed to date any of the players, but her and Ace start to catch some feelings. This is my last book of the wrap-up. I still have read more books after June, but on June 30th, I read The Co-Worker by Freida McFadden. It was about a woman who goes to work, and her co-workers, which is an accountant, is missing, and she's always there. She's a very odd person, and she loves turtles, which is a big part of it.
I like turtles.
But she's not there, and she is a factual to the T, like, arrival person, never has been there past 9:01. And she's not there, and then she gets a phone call and she picks it up and it says help me, and it sounds like her. So it is absolutely insane. Yeah, it's Freida McFadden. What do you expect? She has like so many good. That's where we are, and thank you for watching. Actually no, not thank you for watching it. I'm gonna say right now. Oh wait, you know what I should do? Should I do that TikTok where they're like giving reviews of the books I read, but with like facial expressions? I'm gonna do that with my physical ones. Anyways, I want to be cringy and say thank you for my 104 subscribers that I have as of now filming this. It seems my 24-hour reading video has been the one to kind of pick up and get some viewers. So as much as I'm going to school and studying to have a different profession and career, I have always wanted to be a YouTuber, and it's really fun and exciting, and I love editing anyways. So it's cool to see that people are actually enjoying it. I love so many YouTubers, as I talk about, I feel like in a lot of my videos. Sarah Crowley, Destiny Sidwell, and Haley Pham are like my inspirations when it comes to these videos, and also just like super inspirational in real life, especially Haley Pham, just in lifestyle and her beliefs and everything. I just really love them. It's cool to just be able to do this, and my sister, who is editing this video, also just makes it really fun and helps me to stay encouraged to film and edit, and she watches all my videos. Same for my mom and my dad and everything, and it's fun. So yeah, I will be moving back to school, which is a few states away, in in 16 days, which is crazy. I'll be a sophomore in college and university this year. So yeah, I honestly hope to continue vlogging and doing videos and making content and stuff just for fun, and just see where that leads as I study to become a journalist, which is what I'm doing for school. So maybe I can kind of just pull that into these videos as well, just kind of what my life looks like outside of reading and what it looks like when I'm in a different state and with different friends and everything. So yeah, but what I do know is that Jesus is always present, and he has just gifted me with so many abilities and so much privilege to be able to do something as silly and entertaining as making YouTube videos, and also as serious as attending a school like I do. So yeah, all glory. Thanks for watching. See y'all later. Also, meet my son. This is Owen. Thanks for watching. Bye.